Does anybody else remember when 9 years ago Activision announced plans for and I quote, robust cinematic Call of Duty universe? This is an interesting little footnote, kind of lost to time in the Call of Duty lore. But yeah, in 2015 and up until 2017, Activision representatives were attending interviews and saying that they had plans for a cinematic universe that would kind of be in the vein of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but for Call of Duty. Now, this is a quote from a Guardian article that I don't have access to, so I will link the source that I found this quote from in the description down below, along with everything else in this video. So the Guardian interviewed the co-president of Activision and basically asked them if there was any plans for a film in the Call of Duty universe. And the co-presidents responded that they are working at not only one film, but also finding enough ideas to fill a cinematic universe. And they're using Marvel and Star Wars as examples. That is right. There was plans, and possibly still are plans, for Call of Duty to develop into a cinematic universe similar to Star Wars or Marvel, where there's tons of films and also TV shows with interconnected lore. Now, the co-president of Activision went on to say, "We have plotted out many years. We put together this group of writers to talk about where we are going. There will be a film that feels more like Black Ops, the story behind the story. The Modern Warfare series looks at what it's like to fight a war with the eyes of the world on you. And then maybe something that is more of a hybrid, where you are looking at a private covert operations while a public operation is going on." And then the co-president went on to say, "It's going to have the same sort of high adrenaline, high energy aesthetic as the game, but it's not a literal adaptation. It's more broad and inclusive, global in scope, a big, tentpole, Marvel-esque movie." So that was said years ago. Back in 2015 and 2017, there were a bunch of interviews conducted where Activision representatives would say that there's plans and they're working on a possible Call of Duty Marvel-esque movie. However, now we are 9 years later in the year 2024, and we have nothing except the classic yearly release of Call of Duty games. So, what happened? Well, it's possible that when the Warcraft movie released in 2016 to pretty mid reviews, Activision wanted to wait a bit longer for the waters to settle before giving it another chance of, spending millions of dollars on making a movie. So Activision backed a movie that didn't do too great. Does that mean that we'll never see a Call of Duty movie? I personally think it's definitely a possibility that we could see a Call of Duty movie. You gotta remember that Call of Duty is a massive franchise, and every single year, a new Call of Duty game drops and everyone gets excited because everybody enjoys Call of Duty. Or they say they hate Call of Duty, but they still kind of enjoy it. And given the recent success of other video game adaptations like the Super Mario Bros. Movie or the Last of Us TV show, I think it's possible that we could possibly see a Call of Duty movie or some kind of TV show. But there's definitely arguments as to why Call of Duty could never get a film or a TV show. In a Reddit thread talking about a Call of Duty movie 6 months ago, one Redditor said, "A COD movie should have been shipped out between 2009 and 2013 to cash in on the massive popularity of the franchise then. It was everywhere down to the mainstream news. The second window was between 2019 and 2021, when the franchise gained back traction. At this point, after Vanguard and Modern Warfare 3, it already once again feels like it's too late." There's also the huge question of what would they do with the story? Would they make a completely separate movie timeline? Or would they create a movie tie-in game to maybe something like Cold War's campaign, which in my opinion was amazing and I think could make a super cool film or TV show or whatever. However, later in 2020, Activision representatives were interviewed and they said that Call of Duty movies were no longer a priority for Activision. Essentially, a Call of Duty movie or TV show or Marvel-esque cinematic universe has been discussed for years. And 4 years later, after this quote, it's still up in the air as to if we possibly could ever see a Call of Duty TV show or a movie. However, even if a Call of Duty production begins, there is still so many variables to worry about. In my opinion, for a video game adaptation to be good, the adapters need to respect the source material. I think the Last of Us TV show did a fantastic job with this. That show took scenes and story beats from the video game and expanded on them in such a fantastic way. However, then we have to think about TV shows like Halo, where the showrunners literally announced that they do not care about the video game. So, even if a Call of Duty adaptation begins production, it's entirely up in the air as to whether it would be good or not, and that's kind of dependent on who is making it. So, that's about it. As of right now, a Call of Duty film or Marvel TV show-esque universe, whatever, is completely up in the air. It's a possibility it could happen, and I'm sure it would make a ton of money, but would it be any good? Who knows? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Would you want to see a Marvel-esque universe for Call of Duty? What would you like for the story to be? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Anyways, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you did enjoy it, it would mean so much to me if you left a like and maybe even subscribe. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.